Listen, bird, we hear you, and it's okay. You can shut the What's up, everybody? It's Thursday, and it's your girl Jojo, and I'm back again with another True Crime Thursdays. No, I'm outside, y'all, because this is the best lighting right now, natural light. So I'm outside, so if y'all hear the birds chirping, grass cutting. In last week's case, we talked about Nathan Leopold and Richard Lube, and y'all came back to me with that feedback and told me that case was really gruesome. Trust me, there are cases that get worse that I have to cover, but we're gonna get through it, y'all. We're gonna get through it. But today we're gonna be talking about the case of Frederick Atkins. So today I'm just gonna jump into the case because since it is a local case, there aren't any background stuff I could find, any background information I could find about the victims or the people that were involved. So all we got today is a story, and this story starts with 20-year-old Charmaine Hurley. By the way, guys, if y'all see me looking this way, I'm looking at my mirror. So yeah, so 20-year-old Charmaine Hurley left her home in Clapham around 8:30 p.m. to meet her friend David in the South Coast. So when they got in the South Coast, I guess they walked around for a bit, and then they went into two fast food restaurants, and that is when they decided to split ways. You know, it was time to go home, it was getting late. So Charmaine got into a van that was heading to Bridgetown, and this was around 11. And when she reached Bridgetown, she got into not the wind doing the most. Okay, so when Charmaine reached town, she then switched vans. She switched to a Silver Hill van, which was going to be headed down the Rendezvous route. And this van was driven by Frederick Atkins. So along with Charmaine, some other people had also boarded this same van. So just to give you a layout of how it wasn't only her that was in that van. So on their way down the route, the person actually let off some passengers in Gull Hill, and it's so dry. Why are you so dry though? Don't be dry.
Few moments later.
Okay, so during this route, the bus driver actually stopped to let off 4 passengers who got off near Gull Hill. And during this time stamp, Charmaine actually saw her friend David again, because he was actually standing outside of his house a little around midnight, outside of his house in Gull Hill, and he saw the van pass and it was heading towards Newton Industrial Park. So they just waved at each other and stuff like that. But unfortunately, that was the last day that David ever saw his friend. Because Charmaine didn't return home, her mom actually called the police, and investigations had begun to look for Charmaine because she was reported missing. So we have to find out where she is and what's going on. Now, the last known... Why am I holding my mirror? I'm professional. So they had to question the last known person to have seen Charmaine, and that would be Frederick Atkins, because last place she was seen was in his van by her friend David, and David had already told the police that to his knowledge he had only seen Charmaine and 3 other people in the van at present. So the police actually found Frederick Atkins and told him that he needed to come in to the office to discuss a matter that they were investigating on. And he said, sure, I'll come in, just let me drop off my current passengers and then I'll make my way there. So Frederick Atkins made...
Hey there, demons, it's me, your boy.
Frederick Atkins has made his way to Worthing police station after dropping off his passengers like he promised. And this is where the sergeant took his van keys. Well, before the sergeant took his van keys, Frederick actually removed some valuables and stuff from it, and then he handed it over to them willingly. And when he got into the investigation room, this is when the sergeant had informed him that they were doing investigations on a missing person who happened to be Charmaine Hurley, and she was last seen in his van. So they thought he could be a valuable asset to finding out what happened to her, where she was, and all of that. Frederick told the police that he remembered seeing a girl in his van, but he put her off at Newton Roundabout. Remember, her friend David had said he saw her en route to Newton Industrial Park, so that would make sense. And he said he let her off there, and that is where she got into a Toyota Starlet with a guy named Michael, who he happened to know, and apparently the car had belonged to his boss. Because Charmaine is a missing person and he was the last person to see her, he had to give an alibi, because yes, he did show the officers where he put her off, but that doesn't prove that he actually put her off there. No one saw this exchange. It was pretty late, so you know, if you're from here, you know people are mostly inside. No. So this is the alibi that he had given the police. So I'm just gonna state the date and everything because this is his alibi. I'm just trying to shorten it a bit so that it can fit into this clip and it doesn't seem that I'm telling you a story for eons. But on October 10th, 1998, Frederick had told the police that after he had dropped her off, he went down Lodge Road and went on to Water Street. And on his way down, he did not pick up any passengers because he didn't see anyone, which is logical. It is after 11, so where would y'all be going? And that was when his girlfriend had called him and told him she wanted some chicken from Jafet. So he went to the Jafet in Fairchild Street. And this part is gonna shock some Bajans because it shocked me. It shocked me. He said they didn't have any chicken. Now, if you're from here, you know that's quite impossible, but this was 1998, so probably who y'all barking at? Who y'all barking at? Why y'all mad? Who y'all barking at? So since Jafet didn't have any chicken, he decided he would go to Pink Star in Baxter's Road, and he said that he got there around 12:10 and he left around 12:35. And when he left, he went and took the food for his girlfriend, and after leaving from his girlfriend's, he went to take it to her workplace. And from leaving her workplace, he then went by his cousin in Regency Park and had asked his cousin to come with him to a club to pick up passengers. And I guess his cousin agreed, and they left and went to Frederick's house, and that is where they said they ate and drank and fell asleep. And they were only awakened when Frederick's girlfriend came home from work the next day around 5 a.m. Well, kind of the same day because it was after midnight, but you get the drift. Frederick said that after being woken up by his girlfriend, he took his cousin home and he just went straight to work. So that was his alibi for after he dropped off Charmaine. So 5 days after her disappearance, on October 15th, they actually found Charmaine's body in Bannatyne. Look how I'm from here and don't know how to pronounce this, but Bannatyne, Christchurch, and it was found in a cart road, and it had shown that she had gotten 2 stab wounds to her chest that was inflicted by knife. So around 6:40, they actually brought back in Frederick for some more questioning, because again, they thought he could be helpful as the last person to actually have seen her to their knowledge. So Atkins, when he was brought back in, he told the police that he had talked to his lawyer, and his lawyer had just told him to tell the truth. Just tell the truth. And so this is his story of the truth, and I'm just gonna start this off by saying that this was a signed confession by Atkins himself, and I just want you to remember that because this is very, very, very important. It looked like that thing from a horror story. Y'all can clearly see this is blue, right? I was telling a story.
Well, no fucking shit.
Okay. Atkins said that last Saturday he had got into the van stand around 11, and when he got in there he didn't see any Silver Hill vans. So he shouted for Silver Hill, and a Charmaine along with some other people had came over to get into his van. So on his route, he said he let out all of his passengers, and that is when Charmaine had moved to the front because he didn't have a conductor, so she moved to the front. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically the person who collects money from you to pay for your ride. Yeah, we're not that advanced yet where we can just, you know, swipe and have like bus cards, but you know, we're gonna get there. But yeah, so he didn't have a conductor, so she moved to the front. I wouldn't have, because you know, we just sit and when we get it we pay them, but you know, it is what it is. She did what she did, and she moved to the front, and this is when Atkins started to talk to her, have a conversation with her, and he asked her where she was going, and she had told him she was going home. So after this, he had asked her if he can talk to her for a bit, and Charmaine said yes. And this is when this man, this dude, this hoodlum, I mean, yeah, anyways, this man, he went down to Newton Roundabout and went down the highway. He turned right as if you were going to St. David's, and then he took another right into a cart road, and obviously panicked, Charmaine got out of the van and started to run once it was parked. He ran after Charmaine and grabbed her, but she started to fight back. Good for her, because a lot of people, you know, don't get to. And she fought back and got away from him and started to run again, but he ran after her once more. But unfortunately this time he went into his pocket and he pulled out a knife, and that is when he had stabbed her. She fell to the ground, but she got back up and began to fight again, and this is when Atkins then began to beat her with the hand he had the knife in, and she fell to the ground, and he went to feel for a pulse and he didn't feel like he felt one, so he got scared, jumped in his van and went off back up the highway. He said he threw the knife out of the van and he went home. So this was the signed confession by Atkins himself and also two other officers that were inside of the room with him actually signed this as well. Well, obviously from hearing this, these officers now want to see the scene of the crime because they want to make sure that it lines up with where they found her body. They want to see the knife, and they also wanted to see some belongings that Atkins had actually told them that he had took from her. So smartly, the officers had obtained a search warrant, and from obtaining this they went to Frederick's home, and this is when he showed them where he hid her belongings. And these belongings were some rings, some jewelry that she had on her at the time, and he hid them in his couch. Actually, he hid them in his couch, and after that he took them to the Cart Road in Bannerton, where he had explained the incident had took place. And in terms of the knife that he said he threw away, he wasn't able to give that to them, obviously. So on October 16th, a constable actually searched Atkins' vehicle, and that is where they found 2 knives in his driver's seat compartment, and they also found a ring that had the initials SH on them under the passenger seat, you know. After finding this, they were sure that they got the right person, and he was arrested for the murder of Charmaine Hurley. So before I move on to the case in court, I have to mention an incident that actually took place between Charmaine's sister and another lady. Listen, bird, we hear you, and it's okay. You can shut the fuck up now. So Charmaine's sister had shown her mother a ring one day that she had found, and the ring had belonged to her, but Charmaine had it on the day of her accident. Oh my god, a monkey. Is that a monkey or that's a cat? No, it's a cat. Hey kitty. Puss puss. Hey kitty. It's gone. Okay. Her mother had asked her where she got the ring from. So to specify, Charmaine's sister's name was Sheldine, just so you don't get, you know, confused and caught up. So she had gone to Cave Shepherd to shop, I guess, one day, and she saw a lady with a very, very familiar ring on. So she asked the lady, like, she accosted the lady and took the ring from her. And this lady was actually later able to testify in court against this story and actually testify where she got the ring from. So this lady actually turned out to be Chanel Rowe, who was actually, you probably done guessed it, Atkins' girlfriend. Yep. She had told the judge that she actually found the ring when she was picking up some clothes in the house, because she actually lived with her boyfriend, and she heard something drop, and when she looked, it was a ring. She looked at it and she just put it on, and that's how she got the ring. Now that I got that out of the way, let me get to, yes, I'm putting on my concealer for this time, don't judge me, but let me get to the court case. So in court, Frederick Atkins actually admitted to driving his van on October 10th, 1998, but he denied killing Charmaine Atkins. No, you're wondering, how can he deny killing Charmaine Atkins and he gave a signed confession? Wow. So in court, Frederick Atkins actually said that 2 pages of his confession were altered, and also the signed confession he was led to believe was a continuation of his alibi that he had gave on October 14th, which was the previous day before the body was found, which they had asked him to come in, give his alibi and stuff like that. He said that he thought it was just a continuation of that story, and that he was led to believe that that's what it was. So this left the jury now to decide, whether or not this statement was actually written by Frederick Atkins, or if it was actually something that was fabricated by the police. And if they did believe that it was Frederick Atkins that wrote this confession, was it of truth, or was he forced and coerced into writing this confession? So as expected, this didn't work, and Frederick Atkins was actually served in 2000 with a mandatory death sentence, and in June 2002 he actually received a warrant for his execution. But this decision was actually stayed by the Privy Council. We're looking hella crazy right now, but bear with me guys, bear with me. Now while he is waiting for this decision, he is obviously in prison because his death sentence was appealed, stayed, sorry. And if you don't know what that means, it means it's just put on pause, before they make a better decision. And in 2004, September 3rd, 2004, Fredrick and 3 other inmates on death row actually appealed to the Inter-American Court on Human Rights to, look at their cases. So on October 9th, 2005, Barbados actually issued another execution warrant for Frederick Atkins, and he was scheduled to be executed on February 14th, Valentine's Day. But this decision was actually appealed and stayed by the Barbados High Court. I applied my lashes and highlighter off camera. But anyways, so in 2005, later on in 2005, Frederick Atkins actually died in prison due to an illness. But in December 2005, the Inter-American Court on Human Rights, just had to make sure we're saying that right. The Inter-American Court on Human Rights actually ruled that Atkins' mandatory death sentence and Barbados' statute on murder actually violates people's human rights. I mean, duh, it's in the Constitution, but it is what it are. But anyways, guys, that was the ruling for that case. That's how that case went. What do you think? What do you think? Personally, what do you think? Did you know he did it from the beginning? Did you think he was innocent? Did you? Do you think he was forced into making that confession? Do you think the police actually went in and changed his story to fit them so they would get an actual person, you know, as on the case? Or do you think he actually did it and actually wrote that confession, signed that confession, knew full well he was giving a whole new confession and signing a whole new confession? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what other cases you would like me to do, and if you'd like to hear more local cases. This is the look for today. I don't know if I like it, but it'll do. It'll do. Anyways, guys, I'll see y'all next week. Peace.